Hello and welcome back to Lord of Heroes News on Nyris Gaming. We have our mid-February update news today. I wish I could say I wasn't annoyed again, but here we go again. If things keep happening, I will keep calling them out. Let's see what the deal is this time. So the next update is going to be on the 15th in 2 days. As per the usual now, we're getting some balance updates. As far as I knew, we were going to be getting hero balance updates and such every month, but it seems we're getting it twice a month now? Because we've had 3 updates since then, and it's only been about a month and a half. So we're going to be getting adjustments to Earth Lyrae, Earth Johann, and Light Rashad, 2 of which were paid only before. Earth Lyrae, who is a striker, is going to be getting changes to her burst and her 2. Her 2 attacks all enemies, increase the user's crit rate for 2 turns. Now, it reads exactly the same, even though it's contradictory. Attacks all enemies, increases critical hit rate of the user for 2 turns, stacking up to 3 times. This effect expires after defeating a wave of enemies. It's like they were just lazy with the fixing of the text, which isn't entirely in line with previous updates like that one for the event for dispatching expeditions for Renown on Wednesdays. That is not how many expeditions you dispatch, that is how many nations you dispatch to, which can be upwards of 9 per dispatch. So you're nearly finished when you do one single dispatch if you have all of those areas conquered, which is not how it read at all. So we're getting very lazy with the translation / typo fixing / rewording to make things make sense. Our burst attacks all enemies, increases the user's attack power for 2 turns if the attack is a crit. Now it's the same, but deals 100% more damage for every stack of increased crit hit rate on the user up to a max of 300, because she can get 3 stacks. So she was always a high crit damage character. She's getting all the more crit damage on top of that now. She might be viable as an AoE Earth DPS in something like the Silence Race now. Her Divine Relic, upon attacking, each ally is granted 40% chance to gain crit damage increase for 1 turn. Now, additionally has a 20% chance to trigger Flurry 1 time, and before the crit damage increase buff would go up 20%, 5% per level until 5. Now it goes up at 10% increments for the first 2 levels, and the Flurry chance goes up 20% for 2 levels, and the buff duration increase is the same. I don't entirely remember what her 1 is, and it is not mentioned here. Come to think of it, it might also be a stacking crit damage buff. Let's go see. Earth Lyrae 1 attacks a selected enemy and increases the user's critical hit damage by 25%, stacking up to 3 times. And this gets up to 35% per stack. So I wonder if these are going to be separate stacks. So no, actually, this one's crit rate increase. The other one is crit damage. So her Flurry will give her crit damage, her 2 will give her crit rate. How much crit rate increase? Is it the same as just a normal buff? Given it's a stacking one that expires on defeating a wave, I would imagine it's a permanent one like every other one like that, and not just the normal one, but stackable. But I have no idea because they worded it horribly, because they didn't reword it at all. But the way this is currently, you might not need to build terribly much crit for something like a raid. So you can focus on other stats like attack and crit damage, or defense and health. And however much this does, we'll have to see when the update hits, will compensate for the missing. Although, you have to fire this off 3 times, and by default it's a 4-turn cooldown. A Refined Relic is also getting adjustments. Normally it fills the action gauge of all allies by 10% if the attack is a critical hit. This would cap out at 25% action gauge increase. Now, additionally, it increases damage dealt against water elemental enemies by 10%, I would imagine just for her. The 8% action gauge gain is condensed into the first 2 levels instead of the first 4. An extra 15% extra damage to the water elemental damage increase, twice at 4 and 5, and tier 6 is the same. It could potentially be a solid rival to the likes of Earth 9 and Ecoteztol. I could see it happening. Just really long walls of text, though, for some things. Earth Johann is next. He is a primarily single-target Earth Striker DPS. His 2 cooldown of 4 turns, attacks all enemies, grants the user Berserk for 2 turns. That reduces 10% of the user's max health each turn, but increases his attack and defense by 30% and grants him immunity. Before it was just nothing but damage level ups. Now the last 2 levels of damage up are condensed into level 5, and level 6 is an increase of 10% to the Berserk effect. That appears to be the only change there, so just a minor buff to the stat output. Note here that they also added relics and aptitudes, but did not mention what they are. So we'll have to look at those on the update as well, because, as we will see later, he is a potential summon on a banner coming up. Next update is Light Rashad, who also has those additions because he's summonable now. His burst attacks all enemies, 50% chance to fill all allies' action gauges by 35%. If that doesn't happen, reduces enemies' action gauges by 35%. And they cleaned it up and made it really long as well. So now it's attacks all enemies, 100% chance to trigger effect A or effect B. Effect A and effect B each have a 50% chance to trigger respectively. Effect A fills the action gauge of all allies by 40%, which is just what it was after level 4. Effect B reduces the action gauge of all enemies by 40%, which is what it was after level 2. Now those increases are replaced by 10% extra damage twice, so another 20%. And additionally, this does 800% more damage if the target's resistance is decreased. That is the largest percent increase we have seen on something like this ever, I believe. I don't remember him being primarily built for DPS though, so maybe that'll compensate for that with how utterly huge that is. And he has his own built-in ways to reduce resistance, so you can either rely on that or rely on someone else to do that. His 2, cooldown of 4, reduces all enemies' action gauge by 20%, 50% chance to increase all allies' resistance and speed for 2 turns. If that doesn't trigger, reduces all enemies' resistance and speed for 2 turns, like we were saying. Then an extra 5% action gauge reduction twice at 2 and 4. That is getting condensed to just 10% at level 2. And luck chance at level 4. I did not actually see that earlier. This is going to be reworded in the complicated way again. Still reduces all enemies' action gauge by 20%. But then, like the previous one, 100% chance to trigger A or B, and they each have 50% to trigger. Effect A increases resistance and speed of allies for 2 turns, like it did before, and B reduces resistance and speed of enemies for 2 turns. And those do not appear to have chance tied to them at all. Maybe that's why they worded it that way, because it sounded like the 50% was tied into the chance of it happening to enemies. It's more the chance of it happening in general in the first place. So as far as I can tell, this is a guaranteed resistance and speed decrease if they don't resist it. But additionally has a 50% chance for luck to kick in and trigger both effects, and at level 4 it appears to be a guarantee of triggering both effects. So if you get this to level 4, this will increase the resistance and speed of all allies for 2 turns and reduce the resistance and speed of all enemies for 2 turns and reduce enemy action gauges by 20%. So it does a lot of different stuff and almost guarantees that resistance drop for his burst. Okay, Guardian heroes are having their aptitude skills adjusted. They're not really adjusting it so much as adding something to it. Basically, the Guardians themselves are getting increased damage against the element that they're advantageous against, on top of what they do already. That sums it up in its entirety. 7 and 15% just like their damage reduction to allies from that same element. New hero, Vanessa Dark. She will have all of her elements as well. This is becoming a regular occurrence now. She is a Dark Cleric. And weirdly, when we get into it later, she is a Dark DPS Cleric that can still build defensively. She will be on a summon banner from February 15th to April 1st. So you have a month and a half. And this is where we get into the bit where I'm a bit annoyed. Because, we have all of that talk about the link stones and everything, and the free-to-play ones being harder and harder to get as time goes on. And I was under the impression that we were getting a new hero every month. But we had Fire Bianca for last month, and Fire Solfi at the end of last month, and now we're getting Dark Vanessa for this month as well. Will we be getting another hero at the end of the month as well? That's 2 new heroes and 2 whole new summon banners per month, when at the moment you're able to get enough link stones to guarantee 90 pulls every 3 months. You're going to be behind by 5 heroes on the regular. Not to mention, I also thought of this. Where are the reruns? There hasn't been a rerun since December. It's been a month and a half since we've had a rerun, and that was Firelin for the month of December. Just the one. Before that, it was Ondel and Buryu for only 2 weeks. but it's been a long time since we've had any reruns, so how is anyone supposed to get the ones that they missed if they never come back? At least not on, like, a rotating regular schedule. People really want to get things like Water Dragon Knight Helga, Buryu, people might want to get Ondul, Firelin again, a bunch of those other ones. There also hasn't been a rerun from most of these new ones yet at all. And even then, how are you supposed to keep up with all that at the same time if it does happen? Not to mention the fact that we have the contract hero banners as well, which allow you to get the contract heroes you didn't choose. But even that, you're literally not allowed to use link stones on those anymore. They're only available to summon using contract summon tickets, which, as far as I remember, have been around for several months now and have not once been free at all. You used to be able to use your free link stones on those, now it is literally paid only. So we've just shifted the paid only heroes to summon banners and shifted the contract heroes to paid only, because they've been in those like $38 and $90 packages with a bunch of link stones and maybe 10 contract summon tickets. So not even anywhere near enough to guarantee a hero at all. Not to mention you have around 5 heroes to get from that you missed because of the 5 different rotations. So you would need 90 times 5 of tickets that you literally cannot get without money. And also, before that thought, Johann Earth, Cesar Light, and Ian Light are available on this banner. So this is your opportunity to get Johann Earth if you happen to luck out and get a 0.33% chance of getting him. Getting a hero is a total of 2%, and the featured one takes up half of that. So each of these are 0.33 approximately percent of pulling, and you cannot guarantee them. Cesar, she was available once, and she has not seen a rerun yet. Ian was available like this once before on the Aaron banner, and he got 1 rerun. Thankfully, they had the thought to put him on a featured banner himself so you could actually guarantee him. You will also be able to get Johann's Earth relics from this. And there's no real way to guarantee those relics at all, except we're getting more banners. These ones have a bit better rates because I believe they are guaranteed to get a relic for the featured hero every 10 pulls. But where are you going to get these link stones from? Where? Tell me. Besides $38 plus to get maybe 40 pulls. You keep pumping out banners, not doing reruns, offering less and less free link stones, and expect people to keep up with this or pay out hundreds of dollars. Don't think I didn't notice this other ticket over here. So yes, we're doing featured relic summon banners now. There's going to be another special ticket for them sometimes, probably in a paid package only. This is going to be available for the duration of Dark Vanessa's banner. There's going to be one for Fire Sulfi's relics for the remainder of her banner as well as one for Fire Bianca for the remainder of her banner. So you need 500 link stones to guarantee 1 relic of the featured hero. You're not guaranteed to get the Refined or the Divine one. And for these two, you have about 2 weeks for 2 of them, as well as to get the heroes themselves. I'm also noting that I'm not seeing Rashad's relics and aptitudes on here. He is not summonable from this. I don't see his relics on the list. Maybe they're summonable on this one, but they don't say. They do not say what all is going to be available on these relic banners. So maybe they're going to be in there, but how are you going to get his aptitudes if he's not summonable? But yes, if the player has not obtained a featured hero's relic within 9 summons, the player is guaranteed to obtain the relic on their 10th summon. The only problem is leveling up relics requires vastly more than 6 of them. It's not just 1 level per, it's more and more per level, and you're not even guaranteed which specific one that you're looking for, even if you do the 10 pulling guarantee for the specific hero. Also, there's link summons. Forgot about these. These are ever expanding with the previous paid-only heroes, except for some of them, apparently, which are only available at a 0.33% chance on some banners. These ones you can actually go for and guarantee, but it's yet another summon banner if you didn't get these heroes from their paid-only days. Waterlyn is being added to this. She is actually really, really good. She's one of the few / best cooldown reduction heroes in the game. She is a sniper as well, so good for burst gauge. The Names of Legend Relic banner, another banner to use your non-existent free link stones on. We'll be getting Johann Dark and Light Astrid relics. Still no mention of Light Rashad. Citadel missions. This is what they were talking about with the rework for the income statements. seasons for these are going to be lasting from the first of the month to the last day of the month. So this first one is only going to have a couple weeks. You will have this available to you after completing Gallus Empire East 815 on normal. Kanai's missions, basically you'll have specific things you need to do that will gain you progress towards getting raffle tickets, which will be used to gain random rewards on a table of rewards. The rewards themselves are actually pretty decent. As you can see here, there are a few link stones, although very few, and they're not guaranteed. One draw will cost you 15 raffle tickets. You can also get things like Tier 2 Elixirs of Insight, a little bit of Renown, some crystals, a Nether Star. They're just chucking those everywhere now. Those used to be a unique thing to the Silent Streets, and now they're just everywhere. And then this thing right here, which is what Kanai used to bring you as a reward periodically when the game first launched for a while. You will be able to advance the level of the page upon getting one of these, and it'll go from level 1 to 12. The rewards will increase in value as you go along. I don't believe they say how much. The link stones could potentially get pretty good, but we have no idea yet. The thing in the capsule can be any of these things, so Primeval Soul Stones, Elemental Soul Stones, Mystic, Class Runes, no idea how much. Apparently those random grab boxes of class runes, so far for me, has been completely random as far as the class is concerned. I've had 1 and 2 I've gotten. One instance I got 2. Utter randomization for that. Crystals, there could be more link stones in there. Have no idea how much. This is all very enticing and vague all at the same time. A Golden Gar Mystic Beast Mayhem is going to be going on from February 16th, this Friday, to the 26th. You already know what's going to happen here. Here's the reward table. No link stones. I repeat myself every time. To be fair, there are link stones, they're just not guaranteed at all because of the Alliance gift box, which could be link stones, but it could also be many other things. Other than that, we got your Elixirs of Insight, Tier 2 Elixirs, Renown, Gold, a Mystic Soulstone, which you should get, and one of the few instances of guaranteed specific class runes. So definitely focus on these because it's going to be very hard to get them otherwise now. To further reinforce my point, there's going to be an update package for $8. There's those contract summon tickets, 10 of them, money only. I believe this is also tiered. Yes, you could spend, let's see here, $8, $23, $31, $38, $69 and still not guarantee a contract summon pull. That is ridiculous. You used to be able to spend, I believe it was $23 to $38 to instantly get a hero, and now double that doesn't even guarantee you a hero. It's sad. You get link stones from this, but you can't use those on the contract summon banners. You have to use those elsewhere, on the other 50 or so banners. And of course, more here. Let's see. 4,500 short of a 90 pull guarantee is $80. That is just silly compared to how it used to be. It is sad how much they're making me miss how it used to be. Even in Genshin, now that I'm thinking about it, you're pulling a lot on a single banner, hoping to guarantee that 5-star hero or 5-star weapon. But at least throughout that, you're getting guaranteed 4 stars every 10 pulls, some of which are the strongest characters in the game, or weapons, or entirely usable and helpful on many different people. This, you're getting random relics for heroes you may or may not have at low tiers unless you're pumping link stones into this. Some relics I still don't even have, and I have almost every hero, even banner ones. But yeah, there's some heroes I still only have 1 relic maybe, and it's their basic one. And there will be a Dark Vanessa Cleric banner from the 15th to the 1st of April. Speaking of Dark Vanessa, let's get to that. Here she is, our next Dark Cleric and our final Vanessa. She is quite hefty in the health pool at level 70 with 18,003. That 3 totally doesn't bother me and make me wish it was just a nice even 18,000. Then there's also that 991 attack to consider, which thoroughly confused me when I first read her first ability. Attacks a selected enemy, increases critical hit damage of the user by 20%, stacking up to 5 times. So I was like, she has absurdly low attack and has stacking crit damage? Why? And that is because the damage dealt increases based on the user's maximum health. So she is basically if you hybridized Sifrid with an AoE striker, especially with her 2, starting at a nice low 3-turn cooldown, and giving an extra turn, so effectively a 2-turn cooldown. Attacks all enemies, deals up to 5 times additional damage based on the target's maximum health. Additionally, increases critical hit damage of all allies for 2 turns, so just the normal buff of 30%. Increases attack strength for all dark elemental allies for 2 turns. Gains an extra turn, more than one cannot be gained in a row. Damage dealt increases based on her max health. She is going to go quite nicely in a Silent Straits AoE team, because she can both heal them and supplemental damage them, and increase their damage. She is very handy. Spirit costs 4 for her burst, heals all allies, and generates a shield based on her max health. That lasts for 2 turns. Heal strength increases based on her max health. Additionally, grants focus defense light to all enemies for 2 turns. While under the effects of that, reduces damage taken from light elemental enemies by 30%. So more Silent Straits specific perfect abilities. And of course, her stat skill is health, and her elemental skill is reduced damage from light elemental enemies. Her base relic is going to increase her speed. Her refined is going to give her a 35% chance to counterattack upon taking damage, which would be very nice because that will stack up her crit damage even faster because that's on her 1. Her Divine Relic is going to give her a 50% chance to deal 20% additional damage that ignores defense upon attacking. I can see either of these being very effective. This will give you ultimately more damage in the end. This will probably cap out around 80%. So it's not going to be guaranteed likely, although they have been changing that recently, I think. Who knows, we'll have to see on update day. I might actually do a video on update day this time, because there's a lot to cover with the adjustments and the new relics. Thinking back on it, now that I mentioned relics, I did not see anywhere that showed how you get Light Rashad and his new aptitudes and relics now. So either I completely missed it, they forgot to put it in, or that isn't a thing yet. And they mentioned that before it's actually implemented. Who knows? All I know is summoning in this game is absurdly overwhelming at this point, and it's getting very tiresome. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Like if you liked, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more. I will see y'all in the next video.